Hi guys, it's Joy, and you saw the title of this video, and to be honest, I really debated on whether or not to do this video, but I do think it's important to the conversations that are being had lately, and I thought, okay, let's give this a go and see what happens. If you saw the title of this video, then you know we're gonna look into Eugeina Cooney and whether or not she's a racist and her racist past. Now, anybody who watched me or knows of me knows that in my career on YouTube prior, so a few years ago, I happened to say some really sarcastic stuff. It was meant to be in a joking form, and it ended up being about race. People took it very, very personally and were very hurt. I was being sarcastic and I was joking. At the time, I didn't fully understand why people were upset. I thought what I said was so outrageous, surely it was a joke. Looking back now, though, I can understand a bit more. And I've apologized several times. I've continued to apologize, and I'll always apologize. My goal is never to hurt anybody's feelings. Back then on my channel, I displayed a lot more dark humor and I didn't have a lot of boundaries with that. And I understand that now. I understand there should, and I still have a lot of dark humor, but I've also gone through kind of I'd say for the last 2-3 years of, being chronically sick and not putting myself on social media. I've had my own transformation and really understood a lot more about the inequities and inequalities that minorities face. Also, people who are disenfranchised, women, as well as the disabled, veterans. I like it when people go, when did you become a rad, fad, woke person? Or what is it, a rad, feminist, woke person? What made you do that? And I'm like seeing the reality of what is. But, I'm not radically feminized or anything, and I'm not sitting here claiming to be woke, but I gained more perspective, and part of that was getting sick. Because is it, radicalized feminism of some sort if you were also advocating for veterans and the disabled, the chronically ill? So I have a perspective on it simply because I've been through it on a couple sides of YouTube. And I think I could give some insight into this. I have videos, if you haven't seen this, talking about Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson has a very sordid past, especially when it comes to race and racism. A lot of what he did before now is deemed very racist. And I'm not going to disagree with that. I would completely agree with why people see it that way. And I've done a lot talking about Shane and his past. And I'm not defending the actions, but I'm explaining why he did them and why they were okay from my perspective. Not why they were okay. Why at the time people thought they were okay. Why at that present time people thought this kind of behavior was okay, and how much we've learned and evolved as a culture and how that's happened through social media. But I thought it was very interesting because a lot of people talk about Eugeina Cooney being very fake, that her niceness is fake. I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. I'm sorry if you feel that way, that all this over niceness is fake, and it's actually a form of just toxic positivity, which I have a ton of videos on Eugenia. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. I'll have links in the description. I'll have links up here, and you can see a lot of the stuff that I've said about Eugenia. But toxic positivity is basically not allowing for any negative emotions. Everything has to stay nice and positive, and you don't allow yourself to have a full range of emotions, and it can be very damaging and detrimental emotionally and mentally to yourself and the people around you. It can cause a lot of gaslighting. And I do think that goes on to an extent with Eugenia. I personally don't think Eugenia is ill-willed. I really don't. And Eugenia's in a crappy situation because anytime she stands up for herself, people get mad at her, right? But at the same time, when she's standing up for herself, 9 times out of 10, it's to act like there's nothing wrong with her. So I understand why people are mad at her. And part of, in my opinion, toxic positivity, many times an offshoot of that is people pleasing, which I've talked about with Eugenia. And that's, you feel like, you come from a toxic environment or abuse, and you have to constantly make sure everybody is okay and trying to keep everybody as okay as possible by pleasing them. And that can become its own form of toxic positivity. And it's a self-protective mechanism. It's a survival mechanism to make sure you don't get abuse. But the thing is, Eugenia wasn't always like that to an extent on YouTube. In the beginning of YouTube, and even when she streamed, she had more of a harder edge to her. She didn't have such a high voice. That was kind of squeaky, and no disrespect to her voice. Girl, do whatever range you want. I'm fine with that. I'm a classically trained singer, so I understand about speaking in your higher range. I'm not upset at all. But she used to have a lower, kind of more mature voice, and she used to have kind of a lot more of an edge. She could be a little bit more darker and edgier in some of the things she said and things she talked about. And one thing that I kept hearing rumors about was that she's racist. And I thought, I know everybody's coming for her about everything, but surely that can't be the case, right? But I found some things, and I want to go ahead and talk about it and ask, is she a racist? Does she have a racist past? Is she still racist now? So let's take a look at one of the most damaging clips. Apparently a lot of the clips that people have talked about have been removed and deleted, but I did find some. So let's take a look at this.
Accent talent and very good doing Asian accent. Hello, hello. Hey guys, it's Eugenia. But today, I feel like my name should be more like Eugeniqua because I'm gonna give you guys a look into my ghetto lifestyle. So you see, what I need to do instead is go steal some stuff from Kmart. So what I do is I put on this nice little hoodie so I can go steal it with my boy Shaquan, my homie. I'm gonna put on that Gucci hoodie because this is Gucci. Get on that good stuff. Get on that kush, guys. Get on that kush. Now I can go steal some stuff.
You look like a rich white chick in that hoodie. That ain't what us ghetto people wear. You a disgrace, you ratchet. Shake my hand. Shake my hand.
So, not gonna lie, that's pretty bad. Apparently that was from like 5 or 6 years ago, something that she put on YouTube. Pretty bad. However, is she still that way? Does she still feel that way? People have said they've caught her saying the N-word over the last couple years. Let's go ahead. I'm going to bleep out where she says the N-word because I want to be respectful to everybody. I just want you to know that's what it is. Let's go ahead and let's play that and see what's going on there.
Julie, people get the wrong idea and start getting really mad at me and things kind of get like twisted around. So if you could please maybe try to not, you're the owner, Alabama Nick. Oh, sorry, that's your username, Alabama N-word. Is that really are you really the owner? Well guys, that's like the thing about that, sometimes thank you Madison, I'll just literally be on here, kind of casually talking, not really even thinking what I'm saying, because it's a live stream, and I'm just kind of on here trying to talk to people and have a good time, and then you guys kind of, not trying to at all be mean when I say this, thank you Sky Blue, but then sometimes I have to worry about, I don't really I try not to worry about it, but anything I say kind of gets twisted around and people start legit getting mad at me. And I feel like a lot of time when I say something, I'm not trying to really say this super influential message or anything. I'm just kind of casually talking. Wait, you got burned? Wait, what, Jack? I love you, Jack. I'm not trying to burn you. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Mariah. But yeah, that's my point with that. So if you guys could maybe not title things like that and, try to I don't know if you guys are trying to turn people against me or whatever, but sometimes I kind of take it that way. So if you guys could maybe just kind of think of what you're posting would be making people angry when I'm not trying to anger anyone and kind of not twist things around when I'm just kind of on you now and people aren't really understanding on YouTube sometimes. I would just appreciate it if you guys think about that sometimes. I hope that doesn't sound too mean. I don't mean for it to. Do you have a job or do you go to school? I don't.
Okay, so clearly this was an accident. Apparently the N-word was actually somebody's username, and she kind of catches herself and kind of does this. Although I think maybe she could have kind of apologized or spoken out a bit more about the fact that she just said that word. I think that one isn't legitimate. It's obviously, at least to me, this is an accident, which could happen to anybody. And her doing this, I think, shows, oh my gosh, I did something wrong, and it's a form of immediate remorse. So she has also had other people come on her streams and be racist, as well as she talks about racism and different things within her community. So let's take a look and see what she has to say.
So I wanted to, can I ask you one question though?
Yeah, what did you want to ask me?
Is the reason you're anorexic because a lot of niggas you?
What?
It's a legit question.
No, and that's not a very nice word to call people, Mr. Starshine.
I'm pretty sure it is, because there's some out there, so I really wanted to know.
Dude, that's really bad to say. That's really bad to say that. That is really bad to say that. But no, there is not a lot of people of any races that have had sex with me. No, there's not. So, No, that is not what. That is not.
Did you ever have sex and break your bones? Did that happen?
Did I ever have sex and break my bones? No, I cannot say that I have. No.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's. I just really wanted to know that.
All right. Well, there's your answer, Mr. Starshine.
I love your steams. Keep it up.
Thank you. I hope that you have a good day. All right. That was interesting. You guys spamming me with this. Oh my gosh. Spider Owl Fangs. Thank you. Marry you. Thank you so much. I'm the Gamer for giving us another 50 likes. Thank you. All right. Let's see. I'm reading this. Every race is a good race. Blatant lie, Eugenia Cooney. I suppose you could say people are capable of good, but certain races choose evil. If the majority of people of a certain race does crime, then they should be listed as criminals, but that's not okay because today's society hates the truth. They would rather be nice than tell the truth. Crime stats and facts don't lie. Black folk are, for the most part, pretty bad. Don't take my word, you could research stats. Feel free to say whatever, but you know in your heart I'm right about certain races being more drawn to violence. Wow, Johnny Daddy. Well, I don't know, like, the way, like, I look at it, like, yeah, I know, like, crime stats maybe are a thing, and of course, like, where there's a lot of crime sometimes in the world, like, maybe with certain races it might, like, rank higher or whatever, but I don't know, I just never, like, judge whole races, though, for certain people's actions, so I just really think that, like, there's always going to be good and bad people of, like, every race, so that's how I look at that.
Just noticed you changed the rules. Seem you got inspiration from someone else. Wait, what do you mean I got inspiration from someone else? No, I didn't really get, like, inspiration, but sorry if, like, it looks like I, like, copied someone. I'm not sure what you're referring to. But no, I didn't, like, copy anyone's rules or anything like that. But I just, like, did, like, change some of the rules just to be, like, a little bit more clear about stuff. But yeah, I just kind of thought I would change it a little bit, though, just because, like, you know, like, if there's some people, I think some people sometimes might not always understand, like, what's okay or, like, what's not okay sometimes. So here's the thing, guys, like, you know, obviously, like, with me, I never want to have to get, like, anyone in trouble, like, at all. That's, like, the last thing I ever want to do. But sometimes, like, when people just come in here and they say, like, really, like, racist stuff, you know, like, whether they say, like, you know, have, like, really bad, like, usernames that they just kind of make to, like, be racist or bad stuff like that, then I kind of think if I just, like, flat out have it in the rules, like, yeah, like, no racism, then hopefully people just, like, understand, like, not to be racist and stuff. Which I'm sure there's still sometimes going to be people that, like, come in and are, like, you know, like, probably saying really messed up things. But at least, like, that way, I thought it made it a little bit more clear, hopefully.
Okay, now about the guy coming on, the guy said the N-word, and he was not nice about it, just so you know, I bleeped it out. That's why you saw it on the screen, or you saw me allude to it on the screen. Eugenia, you know, vehemently says, no, not okay, denies it, but at the same time, I think she could have probably been harder with that stance. But at least she was like, nope, I don't agree with that. That's not cool. Also, I think, and I want to put this out there too, because I have heard this argument on YouTube, you know, kind of being on the, what it was, the skeptical side of YouTube back in the day. Oh, it's so embarrassing to think about now. But a lot of people would say, okay, so if you look at the data and statistics with crime, with IQ, with all these different things with different minority groups, the minorities that seem to be, you know, have more issues with violence, you're going to see, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm telling you what they would say, okay? They would say the statistics will show that their IQs are lower. They're not as smart or intelligent or this or that. And when you really dig into it, though, it's so misleading and false. Yeah, some of the statistics, let's entertain that the statistics say that. What are the other contributing factors? How about we give them horrific school systems? How about the minorities are put in horrible school systems that really don't educate them very well? And how about those schools, a lot of times, even if a child can't read, just passes them on through? How many times do we hear that people are illiterate? There are minorities that went through school that were illiterate simply because they passed them on through. And why? Because the school gets more money that way. They get more money by the state. Like, or they just don't care. Nobody cares. Minorities are put, they were, you know, taken here in a really horrible way from, you know, not just the Caucasian people, but also the other, you know, the African people who sold them out, which is horrible. In fact, it's really interesting. There's still a lot of racism in Africa, the Africans towards African Americans. And this is not a joke, by the way. And I did have a family member at one point that was straight up African, and I've heard him and his family talk about African Americans. They think that the people who are in America that were from Africa, they look down on them. Like, oh, you got caught by, you know, your own people selling you, you're a lesser person. I'm not saying I believe this. I'm saying I've heard this. Go look it up, by the way. It's really weird. Like, minorities in this country really get the crap end of the stick. And we put these people, first of all, you put these people in horrible school systems where they're not going to be taught well, right? And you do your best with what you can. You surround them by violence so who can really focus on their school studies to the best of their ability. And we keep them in poverty. Well, just because there's high crime doesn't mean it's a reflection of the race. It's a reflection of the poverty. And what about the IQ? That's a reflection of the poverty too. How about the fact that if we keep these people in poverty, do you think they can afford to get the nutrition or the medicine that they need to keep their bodies and brains functioning in the way that they should? And we give them a horrible school system so we don't fully let these people develop the best way we could. Again, minorities get the crap end of the stick. And I just wanted to point that out because what that person said is horrible and it's so misleading. You have to look, just because a statistic says something, you have to look at the factors and you have to look at the underlying information. And it's such in my opinion, a racist rhetoric to say something like that. And I will never be about that. So let me go back though. People might be saying, okay, yeah, Joy, when she's made some changes, right, where she doesn't want people to be mean, and that's great. But what about the first clip? I didn't say much about that. I wanted to say that for the end because I have a few things to say about that first clip. I think it has racist tones and connotations, if nothing else. And unfortunately, even as of 5 years ago, this type of stuff was more acceptable on YouTube. I'm not saying that because I agree with it. I'm saying it because it's the truth. And people have said several times, like I know D'Angelo Wallace had said, where, you know, people have talked about, like me, about, well, it's a different time period, you know, when it comes to stuff that Shane Dawson did. And D'Angelo tried to say that it wasn't. I'm going to respectfully disagree only because during the 90s and the 2000s, I don't even think D'Angelo was alive. I mean, when I say that, like he wasn't born yet or he was very, very young. He doesn't know the context of the time back then. I remember so many people who made up characters who, like Shane, just making fun of other races. And back then, it wasn't as widely known, and I'm embarrassed as a white person, I am embarrassed to say this. It wasn't as widely known how mean or offensive that would come off to another race. That's an awful thing for me to admit, but I am telling you this because I'm being honest with you, and I've gone through my journey of having to see the inequalities. And we just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. The blessing, also the curse, but the blessing of social media. The blessing, I would say, because the curse is not this. The blessing is it gave rise to disenfranchised voices to help educate people. Help educate people like me and Shane and Eugenia and other people that, you know what, this is not okay and this is very disrespectful and makes people feel horrible and less than human. And this is why over the last 5 years, we've had such a big transformational cultural, social shift with this. And I'm happy. The curse is the cancellations of people that I think are decent trying to change. But that, again, is the pendulum swinging, right? And we were so far over into it was totally okay to make fun of minorities and this, that, and the other. It was almost like the rule was kind of like, as long as you don't say the N-word, kind of, right? That was kind of the rule. Now, rumor has it she has old videos of her saying the N-word. I don't know if that's true. I couldn't find any. And I had some people say, well, look, she says the N-word here. Yeah, but that's an accident. You can tell she immediately has issues and remorse with it, right? So I don't count that really because accidents can happen. You can even see the comment, like in different comments, you know, where this other video is put, people will say, they're like, I'm a person of color and I can tell that's an accident. It's, you know, but what she did with those stereotypes is not okay. But I do think her taking down that content is indicative of the fact that maybe she's seen changes and she realizes that's not who I want to be. Now, I have not seen anywhere where she's addressed it necessarily, and I don't know what's my place to say she has to address it or not, The fact that she's taken that down and really put rules into place with her community, and she stood by and said, I don't judge people by races or statistics or this or that, I think that's a good thing, right? And I also don't think we should constantly, I don't think we should constantly cancel people because of their past if they're trying to change. There are, when I say that though, there are variations. Like if you were hurting children, then I think it's a different story. But if we had some societal issues where people genuinely didn't know that something would be offensive and they're trying to change, I would hope we have an open mind. If you're a minority, I would say this: you don't have to forgive anybody. I don't blame you. Feel however you need to feel. Because to be in the situations that minorities have consistently been in and be talked down to and have that stuff, that is something that I'm not going to be able to relate to. I can relate to it in some sense with health, but it's still not the same. You know what I mean? It's not the same. So I can't relate to that. So as a minority, I would never tell anybody what to do or how to feel, or anybody in general. But I would hope that as a society, if somebody is taking the active steps to show that they change, that we can have forgiveness. That's what I would hope. Otherwise, cancellation culture is all just a form of bullying because somebody else was either a bully or had a weakness at one point. It's just outrage that goes nowhere. And what is the point of that if there's no incentive to change, which is forgiveness? In my opinion, the point of that is just to become a bully back. And that doesn't make any changes. It just makes things worse, and it will ultimately make a very negative counterculture that I don't think any of us want. Okay, guys, if you like this video, then please help me out and give me a big thumbs up, like the video. Subscribe and hit the notification button if you like this kind of content and want to see more. Also, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm missing things? And I want to say this on all. I hope my video, especially to minorities, is received with every sensitivity that it can be. I'm not saying what was done or said was right, and I don't agree with it at all. I am saying I would hope that she's made changes, which is why I also showed these other clips. It is so unfortunate that this was a normal part of society for people to, in my opinion, objectify minorities like this. I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. And yet this was normal. And I'm glad that society has begun to make changes. And I just hope my video is sent with the right intention and the right respect, that all I want to do is try to continue to make things fair or more fair for women, minorities, children, the disabled, veterans, the ones that we cast aside in society. And all my love goes out to you guys. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. And until the next video, I'm wishing everybody so much love and blessings. And I'm giving you guys lots of hugs, mwah, and kisses. Bye, guys.